Shouldn't a woman be seeking the validation to make sure she's doing the things right for her man, husband? Shouldn't that be part of the relationship? Or should she just be going off and doing her own thing and saying F the man? Like it's
Well,
hard for me to argue that they're not seeking, like, shouldn't they?
Do you
well,
see the video, Shane?
I'll say this: depending on her belief system, if you are quote unquote a Christian, right? I think that as a Christian, that your validation shouldn't come from an external person. It should come from the person who you say you believe in. If you say that you believe in God or whatever, your validation should come from this being that's inside of you, right? Versus, you know, this person. Because once this person is no longer validating you, how are you going to be then?
So I was, and I'm talking
Okay,
about
real
being
fast. Let's
validated
try to
in.
get through these super chats, but go ahead, AP.
Um, I wasn't trying to go through through the religion aspect, but when you do and you bring up Christianity, the only, like, a woman's way is through her husband. So shouldn't she seek validation? Like, and that's a major talking point in a major talking point in these YouTube streets. And if that is the case, if that is the case, the religious talking point, Shane, with the only way that a woman can
I'm
go
just trying
through
to
is
figure
through.
out how we was talking about baby mamas and we got on husbands. I don't even know how we got here. Can somebody
Because I don't think you should be a baby mama. I think you should be a wife
absolutely
and then
we
have a baby. And I'm just following up HD's thoughts. So I'm trying to figure out, shouldn't she be seeking that validation if if we're talking through Christianity, if we're going to use that as a point, shouldn't she?
Well, that's why I said, like, the validation, like, all women ain't married. All women ain't gonna be married, right? So you mean to tell me if she never has a man, she shouldn't be secure?
In a relationship?
I don't think that should
But,
be a thing.
but weren't we talking in the context of a relationship?
I mean, whether she got a relationship or not, the the thing is I don't think it's wrong for her to seek validation from her man because that's the person that she's in
Okay.
relationship with. But when I'm listening and I'm watching and I'm seeing a lot of things play out, that internal validation that some people lack causes a lot of issues. And then it causes the frictions, and then you having these fights about stuff that don't got to do with anything that you're going through. And then they start taking the kids, and then they start trying to get custody and trying to find ways to afflict you or whoever because of their internal issues with the situation that's going on. And I just make the argument. I said, listen, man, there's a lot of things that you can achieve in your life when you're not being validated by things outside of you.
So I'm just going to go back to Sharon's point then. Shouldn't we validate them? Like, if we're gonna be in a relationship with them, shouldn't we validate women? And if they're not taking, and if they're not seeking our validation, shouldn't we choose better? Doesn't it come back to us then?
I mean, I guess, I mean, whether you're
I'm just
validating her,
curious. Like, I'm trying to find where, if we're speaking in general or if we're speaking in relationships. If we're speaking in
Can
general,
I
I see the point.
interject? I think there's a difference between self validation and validation in relationship. If you have self validation, you don't need a man or nobody else to tell you who you are or what value you have or anything like that, because that comes from knowing self, having self knowledge, right? But when you're in a relationship, it's important to seek validation from your partner to make sure that you're on the right track and meeting each other's needs. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I need to know, babe, did I do this the right way? Do you like the way I cook this? Or did I make this, or, do this the way you like? I do need that validation to let me know that I'm doing the things that he needs me to do, and do it in a way that he likes, and vice versa. I need him to check in with me as well, to, babe, did I do this right or whatever? Like, I think it's very important. And I think that helps keep open the line of communication. Two, it gives you a measure. I think a lot of times we're not having those conversations and seeking validation from each other. And then when it goes far to the left, it's too hard to try to bring it back to the middle because you've let it go so long. It's
I can agree
okay
with
to have validation from your partner. I do think the primary part is you do need to have that validation of self first, because it's hard to interact or be in relation with somebody else and be secure in yourself when you don't have that.
You know,
And that
I'm
was
not even gonna argue
essentially
with
the
that.
point I was trying to get to, because in a relationship, it's a different type of validation, and that's why I was trying to drill down into it. And if we're speaking in general, I completely agree with HD. But when we're speaking inside of relationships, the, there must be you've got to know you're doing it right. She's got to know she's doing it right. Like it's kind of a two-way street, I think, when it comes to that. So I completely agree, mistaken.
Yeah, I don't really have much argument to what you were saying. It just internally when I'm listening about this particular situation about validation or seeking it from each other, I sometimes just maybe lean too far into the leading situation as far as a man is concerned, because there might be some things that I'm not seeking your validation on because I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm supposed to be. I know what I'm looking for. And I know, and I've been learning and I've been watching and I'm making adjustments and stuff like that. So, but listen, I'm not worried about what you're talking about. There's something that I see that's coming down the pipe and I'm making an adjustment in spite of how you might feel about it. But I understand from your point of view, communication makes everything better, which I do agree. So I understand, like, hey, listen, there's something that I see. I'm making some adjustments, and we can be okay. So I see that the wiser part of that.
All right, last point. Go ahead, Marky Mark. Then we got to keep on moving.
So I don't know if I agree that the men are as much secure as we might want it to be. I am in the way that I think an ideal relationship would work, or how I would set it up would be I would be extremely secure in myself. Hopefully she's that way within herself. If she's not, my security and then the way I view her should put the validation and security inside of her, and then we can reciprocate the energy back to how I believe like it all starts with the man. But I don't think most men operate from a very I'm not gonna say most men. I'm gonna say there are a lot of men that don't operate from that position, and in doing so, it puts her off kilt because you putting your insecurities on her. Like if you insecure about her leaving, now you accusing her of cheating, or you saying, you know what I'm saying, you trying to tear her down or things like that, and that creates a friction filled contentious relationship as opposed to something that's harmonic. But the base root of that comes, in my opinion, right, from the man, and he can put that into everyone within that family, be it the wife or the kids.
I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? If you have an insecure man and he hasn't dealt with the things that he has an issue with, it's easy for you to spread your infirmities to the people that it's under you. So I agree 100%. But yeah, I agree. I'm just stop.